Welcome to the Thriving Outside the Box podcast. Join me, Dr. Kimberly Grocher, a licensed psychotherapist, executive coach, and yoga and mindfulness meditation teacher, as I shed light on the stories of leaders and entrepreneurs across industries who not only dared to create their own path in their careers, businesses, and lives, but have found a way to do it while thriving mentally, physically, and spiritually. I hope you walk away with the inspiration to do the same. Welcome back to Thriving Outside the Box with your host, Dr. Kimberly Grocher. I am Dr. Kimberly Grocher, and today my guest is Dr. Stephanie Chambers. Welcome, Dr. Chambers. This is an extra special guest for me because Dr. Chambers is actually my doctor. So I am so honored to have you here. Tell us a little bit more about you and who you are.
Oh, thank you for having me on this wonderful podcast. I am truly honored and honored to be your primary care clinician as well. My name is Dr. Stephanie Chambers. I am a family nurse practitioner, and I am also the CEO and or owner of the Your Door to Health and Wellness Chambers Family Health Practice, which is a holistic-based primary care practice in Mount Vernon, New York. And I have been in healthcare for about 20 years. I pride myself in implementing holistic healthcare. Holistic healthcare meaning mind, body, and spirit. I use a lot of the dimensional wellness modalities to provide primary care services and just to empower individuals to really live a wholesome, well life. I'm also a newly published author of Stop Shrinking Back, which is a faith-based devotional memoir. In that memoir, I am heavy on the faith juice, and I just explore fear and how we must not shrink back, standing on the principles of the scripture.
Welcome. I just have to share one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast is because I feel like your whole approach is outside of the box. I've been grateful to have some really amazing primary care physicians throughout my life. More often, I've had really good ones than the opposite. But even within that, your approach is just so different and so refreshing, this holistic point of view, that not many people are really integrating the way you are in healthcare today, and we need it. So tell us a little bit more about what got you started on your journey to where you are right now.
So I guess I'll bring it back to when I was a little girl. At the age, I think I was maybe between 10 and 13 years old, my dad was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And I remember at that young age feeling helpless. Like I wanted to help him during his illness. I wanted to heal him. I wanted to just be that source of like encouragement, just recover faster and sooner. And I was very confused by the disease process. And again, just wanted to be more hands-on with regard to my dad. I'm a daddy's girl, so he's my everything. So from that, I think from that moment in my head, if anyone asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? It would be, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be in healthcare. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to be able to make an impact and to truly help people. It started off as my dad, but it's exploded to just helping as many people as I can. So that started it. And then it just kind of grew. That passion to really serve in this magnitude really empowers me. And I guess it's not odd, but I enjoy empowering people to live a healthier life. Like I enjoy every session of just getting to know someone and meeting them where they are with regard to whatever chronic illness they have. Even when they are healthy, just being able to encourage and empower them to be even better and just to optimize their health and wellness. So it started there. And I think throughout the years, I have been employed in various organizations and wanted to provide this care that I'm so passionate about within the organizations and the enterprises. And I just became more and more jaded by just the business side of what became and is becoming the business side and the focus of healthcare. So after about 15 years serving others, I decided to start my own practice where I can incorporate holistic modalities, where I can, without question and without frowns or without judgment, I can spend time, the quality time, getting to know my patients and being better able to assess their needs. I knew that could only happen outside of the enterprises. So here we are, outside of the enterprise.
Yes. Even your path to become like a primary care provider, right, is a little different. So most of the time when we think of primary care providers, we think of MDs, medical doctors, but you are a nurse practitioner and you have a doctorate in nurse practitioner. So what motivated you to go that route?
Initially, I think I started in pre-med, actually, when I was in college. I did pre-med for some time and I didn't love it. I didn't love the fact that I had to live in a library and I had to sacrifice so much of my time. I knew at an early age that I wanted to have a big family, which I knew I wanted to get married, to do certain things that going down the path of medicine and residency, and it wouldn't necessarily afford me. So I just kind of was seeking something similar. How can I do the same thing without having to give up my life? What I thought at the time was like, give up my life and delay the things that I wanted to do sooner than later. My grandmother, my uncles, and I have an aunt that were all nurses. And they were very much involved with my upbringing. So they were just like, try nursing. And at the time, I was just like, I want to do medicine, not knowing that nursing and medicine are so parallel. So then I gave it a try, gave it a shot, because I would hear my grandmother's stories and I knew how much she loved NICU. She was a NICU nurse and she just loved her baby. She loved what she did up until retirement. She just truly enjoyed and was very passionate about nursing and providing the care she provided to babies. So I was just like, let's give it a try. And I was sold after the first semester because of the foundations of nursing, which is very mind, body, spirit. Nursing is holism. Nursing is caring. It's nurturing. It was just a different side from what I was seeing early on with the pre-meds and the bios and the chems and all those. From the gate, it was foundational principles, these theories that exist. And it was really just patient-centered care. And I loved it. I loved it. And once I started, I just didn't stop. I went all the way to attaining my doctorate and reaching the pinnacle of that, that career. And I still love it. I love it for just the fundamentals of it. I tell so many people, even, though I'm a doctor of nursing practice, and I own my own practice and I'm doing that, I enjoyed bedside care. I enjoyed like AM care. I enjoyed like having my post-operative patient in the med-surg unit that was just, fresh out of surgery, that just needed someone to just place a cold rag on their head and just being able to meet their need in that moment. Like I truly enjoyed that. So yeah.
It's evident. It's radiate. And I can say firsthand from the care that you give, it is evident that you love what you do. You are invested in the care you provide. You are invested in your patients, right? Because we also share some patients, right? and that is the feedback I get consistently, Dr. Chambers. And that is, unfortunately, that's not a very common experience in healthcare today for many patients. So the fact that you're able to provide that, and even I love like how you're talking about nursing and nurse practitioners. I think a lot of people are maybe just starting to become aware of how amazing nurse practitioners are, and how much you all actually do that, like you said, is very similar and also very parallel to medicine, but it has this different nuance. What motivated you to get started in Mount Vernon?
So I think when I became a nurse practitioner, because there's such a dire need, even today, for more primary care clinicians, because In the world of medicine right now, there's like a rush to specialize because that's where most of the money is. But the need is in primary care. So starting out as a nurse practitioner, the need for me was to be within the inner cities at the time. And I wanted to be where I was needed. I did. So I started off in the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. I guess what people would say the hoods. I was in every hood, from the Grand Concourse to Fordham Road to Washington Heights. You name it. I was there. Mount Vernon is just so happened to be where I landed. I'm not sure I thought out Mount Vernon, but just because I want to be where I'm needed, I think it's just perfect that I'm there, and I'm so excited to be there. Especially when I get the feedback that I get from my patients who are just like, it's so hard to find someone that looks like me in my neighborhood. That is truly heartbreaking. That is a reoccurring theme in most of the neighborhoods that I've worked. More recently, I was in Washington Heights for a short bit, and it was just, I've had patients like cry out of excitement. I've had patients pray that I would stay. I've had patients say to me, I've prayed for a day where I can have someone that looks like me care for me. And it kind of cements the fact that I do appreciate being, I guess, amongst what people would say is the underserved or the more vulnerable populations, because I think representation matters, especially when people of color are enduring the things that we're enduring and have endured the things we've endured. It just brings so much more healing, if you will, to have someone that sort of looks like them care for them. So Mount Vernon, it just so happened to be one of the stops on my journey. And I'm really excited. I'm happy to be there, and honored. I'm honored, truly honored to be there as well.
We are honored to have you. Definitely, definitely. So we just talked about your journey to get to where you are, what you do. What for you feels outside of the box, outside of the norm for you?
For me, in this capacity, owning my own practice, my own solo private practice is very much out the box. I don't know anyone else, any other nurse practitioner that has their own private practice right now. So even starting, let me go back, the idea of starting my practice, when I mentioned it and shared it, so many were just like, why would you want to do that? Like, why would you leave a job where you have your 401k, where you have your stable biweekly check, you have your vacation time, you have all these things, you have your benefits for you and your children. Why would you leave that? Like, are you crazy? And I got that a lot from family and friends. And it was palpable. So some wouldn't even say it, but I would just know, but just by their silence or just the look on their face, that they were just like, you're crazy. And I think the more I came across that, it just fueled me even more to try to do this. Like, I had to prove this to not necessarily them, but to myself. I had to. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I didn't think too much about what it was going to look like. I just kind of went full speed ahead. I had my business plan. I did reach out to some business consultants. I did kind of inquire among some other clinicians that I knew. And I formed a board that were like all experienced clinicians, that some of them were my mentors. And I had that board just so I could bounce things off of them, ideas and things, and just so they can kind of help me make sense of what was about to happen. But it was totally outside. Even thinking back to it, I was just really convinced that it would work because of how passionate I was about it, about all the things, about providing the care, about doing this thing that's so different from what is being provided in these enterprises. We were fresh out of COVID too. I incorporated in 2019, but 2020, I think I was like in the ER and just, in the throes of COVID. And by 2020, December 2021, I saw my first patient. And again, it's just wanted to just, start this new thing and was determined to do it.
That is not a small thing. People can't see us talking. They hear us. But if you could see your face, right? It's almost like you kind of registered the way people were looking at you or the energy that was around you when you mentioned this. And to move beyond that is so hard. One or two people, okay. But when it's most of the people in your life that are closest to you that are like, what are you thinking? Like, this is not a good idea. Why are you gambling with you and your children? So for you to have the fortitude to say, I'm going to take a chance, I'm going to take the risk, and then to curate your support system around that, business consultants, other clinicians, right? Those are not small things. What else do you feel like was helpful?
My faith. It remains to be my foundation. And I know that if you work heartily onto the Lord, all things are possible. And I also wanted my kids to see that. It's a big deal. So my daughter is kind of just like, so explain this to me again. So, and then how much money are you going to make? And then, okay, they were happy about the time because it was, okay, guys, I may have more time to be present with you guys. I can schedule patients around things. I don't have to lock into this, 9 to 5 every day and possible weekends and some evenings. And it can look this way and we'll have more time. But the proof is usually in the pudding, and they needed to see that. They still, I think they maybe not anymore, but they're just, they're always watching. So I knew I couldn't relent. As tough as it is, still, they're watching, and I want them to learn that hard work does pay off. It may not always look the way we think it's going to look, but perseverance, fortitude, as you mentioned, all those things are really important, And I always say there's this quote, I think I just posted it on Instagram. Chase what sets your soul on fire. And I truly believe that. Our passion, I think it equates to our purpose in some sense, I think, So, yeah.
What are some of the biggest obstacles you've had?
My heart wants to say trusting people that I thought would have been advocates or friends that I thought would have been by my side, and realizing that I was really in it alone. So yeah, I think the realization that, some people are just not going to be there for whatever reasons, not to shame them, but that was disappointing because it was really hard for me to find people that, my board, or just find people that I would trust with my ideas and all the things. And when I did find them and they kind of just were not present, it was just like, oh, Steph, you probably would have, here you were trusting someone or a few people, and they kind of really just let you. It was just it was heartbreaking. So that part, with regard to persons and maybe my expectations, that was maybe the most heartbreaking, I think. The next is really the money. So it's really dealing with the insurance, the payers. As a nurse practitioner, we get less than our MD counterparts. So the percentage we get is automatically less. And then because I serve the community that I serve, I do have a lot of patients on Medicaid. And where many other clinicians, especially in the building that I'm working, they don't accept Medicaid at all. They just don't. I never wanted to be that person to not accept Medicaid. But in accepting Medicaid, I did have to accept whatever the payers would pay me. So that I don't even want to mention the reimbursement that I would receive from these Medicaid payers, but it was not enough to buy lunch, at times. That was a nuance. It's still an issue, but I'm learning ways to kind of deal with that. So I would say those are the major hurdles. It's just the payers and not having the people on my team that I thought would have been.
I think I want to do an episode on that because there isn't a lot of conversation about how your relationships change when you start to step out on your own. And I don't even just mean like in a business, right? Like it could be in a different way in your career. It could be a different path in your life, but just how the people that you thought would be there or, like these dynamics just change. And that is challenging and painful to move through.
Very painful, yes.
While you're building brick by brick, step by step, navigating those losses. And yeah, we could do a whole episode on insurance and healthcare and all the things that I think a lot of people don't really understand, and but we're going to leave that alone for now because we know situation in this new administration.
Yes.
Yeah. But what would you tell somebody who is starting something on their own or starting to walk a new path?
Your plan, your business plan is vital. That should be next to your Bible. If you have a Bible, that is your framework. Research it, tweak it. That business plan is your foundation. And within the business plan, also researching your competition. So learning who your competition is, research big time. Trying to find other establishments that will function as yours. Where are they? What's their patient population like? What's the revenue? Your location, marketing, the expenses. Just knowing up front what you need. So a thorough assessment of your neighborhood, who you want to serve, and then marketing piece, and just having a solid business plan, because within the business plan are all those things. And just never stopping with regard to researching your subject, whatever it is, whether it's healthcare, whether it's business, whether it's AI, whatever it is, just remain relentless in researching that topic and all the things pertaining to that topic. Spend hours. And I did initially, I spent hours, countless hours, up late at night, early morning, just trying to figure out, what I would need to bring this to fruition, what I would need, envisioning what it would look like, writing that down. I didn't have a lot of competitors. As I mentioned, there weren't many nurse practitioners at the time. Since I incorporated and since I started, I now know maybe two that have started their business. But I think just really honing in on your business plan and also your team, establishing a team, if you will. If that team is just one person, if that team is your mama, just have someone that you can kind of, bounce things off of, or just even to vent to, or just help you make sense of things. Sometimes as entrepreneurs, we get lost in the sauce and lost in our own head. And, we need to have someone or a few persons that can help us make sense of things.
That sense of community is very important, and build those relationships. That's how we met, is actually in the community, right? So we both went to the same salon, and you found my card at the salon and were like, hey, like, I'm a nurse practitioner. Like, are you taking patients? And I was like, oh, I know people that need primary care. And we actually got together and over lunch learned more about each other. And then I decided that, I'm going to come see you. I want an appointment. But I've appreciated our relationship as patient and provider, but also as colleagues and as part of each other's teams, to really bounce things off of each other, to talk to each other, to say, okay, well, this is going on now. And what does this look like? Even if we're not doing exactly the same thing, what we do complements each other.
Totally.
So tell us a little more about what inspired you to write this book.
Good question. This book has been in the making since, I think, for the past 22 years, ironically, right? So I think when I was first pregnant with my first child, I wanted to journal. I wanted him to know exactly what I was thinking while I was pregnant with him. So I was determined to just start journaling so that if anything were to happen to me, at least he can have this journal and know exactly day by day what I was experiencing, what my symptoms were, how I was feeling, how excited I was, all those things. And since that day, I just never stopped journaling. Journaling has carried me through some really traumatic experiences. It's just truly been therapeutic. And so as I was journaling and as life just kept lifing and things just continued to happen along my journey, I would just kind of, people, my family members or friends would know what was happening, or I would share with someone and they would constantly say to me, "You should write a book. You need a book." And I'm like, thinking that to publish a book is just going to be this huge task. I kind of just pushed it to the side until I had a major encounter. And because of my faith, like that is also foundational. Just to go back to that last question also, like that is really important, is just to lean on your faith in every season, especially when you're about to start something new. So my faith has, again, been foundational. And I've noticed that throughout my journey and throughout the times that most of my encounters or most of my learning moments happen in exam rooms. God speaks to me through my patients.
What does that look like?
So there was a time I was in a really dark space and I was leaning heavy into prayer. And that morning I prayed and I said, "God, please, I need you to really make something plain to me. I need you to really meet me here because I'm a little confused and I need you to show me this way." And I was on my knees. I was in tears that morning and in this dark space, and got up, got all dressed up as I usually do. I try to do, and went to work. And my very first patient for the day was a new patient. And at that time, I think I was doing intensive case management for diabetics. And I know we don't normally see new patients, but this man has happened to be on my schedule. He's a brand new patient. And it was myself and a health educator that was with me as we introduced ourselves to this patient. And we're introducing ourselves. And I asked him, "What brings you here?" He says he's here. He's obviously diabetic. And then he then pauses and says, "But I'm not really here for that." And he reveals the answer to my prayer. And he goes on to say, "I am here because this is what God wants you to know." And I was just like, in my head, I'm like, no way, this is too much. No one would ever know. And I'm questioning it in my mind, but my heart knew that God was speaking to me in that moment. And I began to cry. As much as I was trying to hold back the tears, I was trying to maintain my professionalism because I had my white coat on and I had my makeup on. And when I arrive to see my patients, I usually arrive very well dressed and put together. This day was an ugly boo-hoo cry. And he just went on to just speak into the things that I had been dealing with. And every time I tell a story, I get all choked up and my hands start shaking. But that was a major turning point in my life. And I knew after that people have to know. And I was so grateful for that health educator that was in the room with me, because had she not been in the room, I probably would have questioned. I would have said, "Oh, that didn't happen." And she just so happened to be a pastor. Didn't know my story. I didn't know she was a pastor. As soon as we left the room, I pulled her into another exam room and I'm like, "You don't understand. You don't understand what just happened." And she looks at me and she says, "No, I know." And we just embraced and cried. And I knew I had to speak to this. This is a testimony I had to share because it saved me. And I wanted it to be impactful. And I wanted to be able to save others through my testimony and through my story. So from there, I just started intentionally journal about that and intentionally include scriptures. And I started to share, some of my dark moments, which a lot of people just didn't know. So, yeah.
Have you shared it with your patients? Have you integrated it into your work, or do you kind of keep it separate?
I've started to. So the morning of my book launch, I didn't say anything. I really didn't know how to incorporate it. It was just interesting. I just didn't know how to put the two together. And I think over time with prayer, and I spoke with my publisher also, and she's just like, Steph, like the title of your book is Stop Shrinking Back, right? Your patients need to know this. They need to know exactly what you've encountered, what you've experienced. They need to know the things. So stop shrinking back, basically, you know? And I prayed over it some more because I was still kind of, it's just so I'm sharing. It's a vulnerable thing. And the morning of my first launch, like it was a Zoom launch, I didn't tell many people, which is weird, but it came to me through prayer that I had to tell these two patients of mine. And just from those two patients, I think maybe 5 or 6 or 7 other people joined the Zoom. And their feedback just kind of gave me a reason to want to share it more with my patients. There's one particular patient that we share that is so special. I call her the gift that keeps on giving. And she sent me this long email after the Zoom launch. And after I read it, I cried. And I just said, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm so happy I was obedient in sharing the Zoom link with her because she was just so receptive to it. She just got it. And it did something for her. So I just, I'm learning to really surrender to what is supposed to be in sharing this book and my story and my testimony. I can't shrink back from sharing with my patients. Like, hello. So that's actually where I am right now currently is, just opening up to sharing and marketing it to my patients.
That doesn't even feel like marketing. That feels like sharing.
Yes.
Sharing your story, sharing your message, and letting them know that's available to them, especially because the type of work that you do, I think, especially, I can only speak for my experience in the Black community, right? I can't speak for any other communities or experiences. We want to know if you are talking to us, if you are listening to us, if you are touching us, if we are being vulnerable with you, we want to know who you are and have a sense of who you are, because who you are has an impact on us.
And it makes so much sense. Totally. Mm-hmm.
And I also understand from the provider perspective that hesitation, that like, is this the right thing? Mm-hmm. Is this actually going to be helpful? How much do people need to know? Right. But also it goes against a lot of our training.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
You are like this non-entity.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we can both be a testament to like, that isn't working in 2025.
Not at all. No. It's transformative to really, as you said, to be able to share our vulnerabilities, right? Because we're human and we learn from each other. And, it's funny. I say this to my patients often, like, it's a partnership. I'm not like up here and you're not down here. It's a partnership. So as I'm encouraging and empower you, as you are empowered and encouraged, it empowers me. It's like
transformation.
Transformation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Yes. I guess the name of my book, Stop Shrinking Back. And that means stop playing small. So I've been telling people, and this Stop Shrinking Back book is my accountability partner, right? So I've written the book. It's a playbook. It is also my reminder, right? When things come up, because the fears and the anxieties, they come up, right? When it comes up, we are to face it with this, right? And then we're also to be reminded of how powerful we are. We are powerful as human beings by design. We were created and so wonderfully and intricately and beautifully made. We were not made to play small. So stand firm, be relentless in what sets your soul on fire, and doing the things that set your soul on fire, which also speaks to stop shrinking back. So I think that's how I'd like to close.
Be relentless in what sets your heart on fire. As you do that, stop shrinking back. Thank you so much, Dr. Chambers. Where can the people find you?
I am on ZocDoc. I guess that would be an easier way, maybe. ZocDoc. You can search Dr. Stephanie Chambers on ZocDoc. It'll give you the address. It'll give you how to book if you're interested in scheduling an appointment. You can also visit stopshrinkingback.com to learn more about what this book is all about. And if you'd like to purchase, you can purchase it through that. On IG, I think I'm at your door. Is my handle, right? Is that what you call it? Okay. And yeah.
It is always a pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Grocher. I am honored again for the invite. I'm so honored to partner with you as well. And yeah, I thank you. Stay blessed.